Hey, this is Tom with Vermont Grow Coaching, and welcome to Grower's Guide, your weekly, beginner-friendly cannabis tips and tricks. It's harvest time, or harvest has passed, and you're finally ready to start your indoor plants. So what are you going to be using for your seed starting mix? Today, we're going to be discussing a quick and easy seed starting mix to get you started for both seeds as well as clones for your indoor grow this season. Starting seeds and clones can be extremely easy. They need very little nutrients to get started. In this situation, we're going to be making a seed mix using a cocoa perlite mix of 70% cocoa to 30% perlite, as well as a compost mixture that we've derived. Take a look at this list here. To make 1 gallon of seed starting mix, you're going to need the following for your compost blend. A quarter cup of green waste compost. We like to use a combination of vegetable and yard waste. 1 tablespoon of alfalfa meal, 1 tablespoon of insect frass, 1 tablespoon of azomite, 2 tablespoons biochar, a quarter cup worm castings, a tablespoon of kelp meal, and 2 tablespoons bokashi. Now there's numerous reasons why we use the mixture that we do in our seed starting mix. We can't really get into that today because that would take a really long time. But please feel free to check out the pros and cons of everything that we added to the seed starting mix today to determine whether or not you wish to add it to yours. We're going to start by taking a tray and adding 1 gallon of our cocoa perlite mix to the tray. Now this cocoa perlite mix is not listed as OMRI certified, but it is RHP certified. In the event that you're unable to find proper organic starting materials, products like RHP certified products and other products that are certified through different organizations other than OMRI are also acceptable. Just make sure that you're paying attention to the additives that are otherwise going into it. You don't want to be using anything that's using pesticides or any sort of additional nutrients or anything along those lines. So we go ahead and we take our compost mixture and boom, just pour it right into the soil and we go ahead and mix it right up. So we've got about 1 cup, give or take, of our compost mixture to 1 gallon of the 70/30 cocoa perlite. We go ahead and we stir that up really well. Then we take some water and we go ahead and make it nice and moist. We want this to be field consistency. You need a field consistency in the soil because otherwise the beneficial microbes and bacteria that you've actually added to your starting mix via the compost are not going to properly activate. So once you've added enough water to give yourself a nice field-like consistency, give you an idea of what that looks like here, you want to see a couple of drops. That's way too much. Mix that up a little bit more. There's a little bit dry in here. Here we go. Get this good squeeze. See that couple of drops come out there? That's perfect. So we're going to take this mixture, and this mixture actually has to cook for anywhere from 14 to 30 days. You don't have to cook the mixture. You can start seeds or clones in this the way it is, but we like to allow the mixture to set for about 30 days, turning every day or so, just to allow the microbials to start activating and allow the soil to actually become more of a live soil. Now, we're not going to do that with this mixture here today. Okay, so obviously, I'm not going to make you guys wait 2 weeks to a month to see the rest of this process. So here we have a second tray of soil that was actually prepped about 10 days ago. Not quite as long as we'd like, but definitely prepped long enough to have some nice microbial activity. We're going to make sure that the soil, again, is nice and moist in consistency. You want to have a nice field-like consistency, as I mentioned. Now you're going to take the soil, and we've got these cow pots here. You don't have to use cow pot brand, but we love these biodegradable pots. These biodegradable pots can actually be transplanted right into the next pot when you go to pot up later on. There's no need to actually remove the soil or the plant from these. They'll actually decompose and provide additional nutrients to your plant in the process. So we go ahead and we take some of the soil and we go ahead and just put it in each of the holes here. Now for the seedlings, we are going to want to start our seeds in a relatively light mixture. So you don't want to pack it down too much at all. You want to have a lot of room for the soil to be able to burst through the top without too much issue. Now for the clones, however, you're going to want to pack these a little bit more. It needs to be packed a little bit more because the clone actually needs to have a root structure or a stabilization structure to help keep the plant in place while the roots develop their structure. So we're going to take 2 of these here today and we're going to give them a good compression. You notice how that went in quite a bit in comparison to the rest. We'll do that to another one here. We're going to add a little bit more to each of these. This is going to be our clone cubes here where we're going to go ahead and put our clones in. We'll go ahead and do seeds in the rest here. So for the ones where we're going to put seeds, we're going to go ahead and use our finger and just go down about 1/2 inch, give or take. Now, you can definitely go down further than this, and a lot of people are going to look at me and go, 1/2 inch? That's it? The reason I'm saying 1/2 inch is I want to see this seed pop. I want to know whether or not it's actually a viable seed, because the seeds that we're putting into the pots here today have not actually been prepped via the paper towel method or water glass method or any other form of pre-prep. They've literally come right out of the jar. I've got a couple of seeds right here on top. We're going to put them right in. So again, I went about 1/2 inch down. I'm going to go ahead and take the seeds. Now, some people are a little picky about the orientation of the seeds when you put them in. I'm not too picky about it. I just drop a seed in, put a tiny bit of soil over the top of it, not too much, just enough to allow the plant to block out any of the available light as the seed starts to germinate for you in there. So we've gone ahead and done that with our 4 seeds. We're going to let those sit for about 5 to 7 days. In the meantime, they'll end up popping up through the soil, and if we feel that they have any issues with the taproot, we'll make some adjustments at that point, but for the most part, shouldn't need to make any adjustments either. Bear with me one moment while I dip out for some clones. Dip. Couple of clones to get started here. All right. So these clones were actually from Omerta Genetics. They weren't actually, the seed started from Omerta Genetics. So we've got a couple of Thousand Oaks cuttings here. Smells fantastic, even in vegetative form. So we're going to take this clone. It's already had the ends shaved here. We've been having it sitting in a little bit of aloe water for a few hours. We're just going to go ahead and poke it right into the soil. Be careful when you do that. You don't want to damage the stem in the process. From here, in about 7 to 10 days, this clone is going to root. Another 5 days or so, you're going to start to see some additional vegetative growth. And then another week or so after that, the clone will be ready to be transplanted. Again, as I mentioned previously, when you transplant these pots, one of the benefits of using a biodegradable pot is you do not have to remove it from the pot. Simply put the smaller pot right into your larger pot, surround it with your soil, and you're good to go. Let's do another one real quick before we get out of here. Super simple and easy. That's it. Additional tips. Use non-chlorinated water, preferably well or spring water. Keep your soil field consistency throughout the entire rooting process for best results. And make sure to use the same lights that you would otherwise be flowering with for the most vigorous results possible. Thanks for tuning into Grower's Guide. Hopefully now you have a general idea on how to create a nice and simple seed starting mix for both seeds and clones. If you have any questions or concerns regarding today's segment, or would like to set up a consultation appointment, please reach out to us at vermontgrowcoach.com. You can also find us on Facebook and Instagram, or contact us directly at 802-342-5381.